Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good morning from Brazil. I think good afternoon in Kenya, and good morning back in the US. My name is Teresa Borges, and I'm the Senior Program Manager for the Columbia Global Centers in Rio. And it's a pleasure to be working with the Columbia Global Centers in Nairobi. Once again, our wonderful partners across the pond on another webinar. Just before I hand it to our director in Nairobi, Dr. Murugi Dirangu, I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping to our audience. We're going to open the Q&A section, so please post your questions in there and address to who would you like to address your question to. This is a recorded session, so you can watch it in our YouTube channels, our Facebook channels, as well as all of our social media afterwards, and share with friends, relatives, and anyone who you want to inspire with amazing stories from Brazil and from Kenya. And I guess that's it in terms of housekeeping. We're going to keep this a short and exciting conversation. Now I'll hand it over to Professor Murugi Dirangu, our director at the Columbia Global Centers in Nairobi. Have a wonderful webinar, everyone, and thank you for accepting our invitation to be part of the panel group.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's event. As Teresa has said, my name is Murugi Dirangu, and I'm the director of the Columbia Global Center in Nairobi. CGC Nairobi is part of Columbia's global network of 9 centers that aim to create research and scholarship opportunities. The Nairobi Center, along with the Rio Center, serve as regional hubs for research and collaboration as part of Columbia University's strategy to achieve a global presence. Today, we are delighted to partner with our sister center, CGC Rio, Tech Dada, powered by Tunapanda Institute in Kenya, and the Organization of African Youth to celebrate upcoming women in tech. This empowering event will shed light on young women who innovate, challenge, and embrace technology. Join us as they share their stories. Let me now introduce the moderator for this event. Mourine Moga has over 6 years of experience working with youth from peripheral communities and informal urban settlements to cultivate a culture of learning, earning, and problem solving. She works as a program coordinator for 4 different nonprofit organizations: Tunapanda Institute, Learning Lions, Somo Africa, and Anapanda. Her key responsibility is to integrate and streamline the various avenues of work done by these organizations so that they can address the lack of employment and income opportunities in informal settlements. We also have a special guest today with us. Maria Luiza Campos is a professor and researcher at the Computer Science Institute, Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. She holds a PhD in Information Systems from the University of East Anglia in England. Her main research interests are conceptual modeling and information integration, focusing on strategies applied to e-government and e-science domains. She has previously worked as a data administrator at the Brazilian Statistical Agency. She has, for many years, been involved in open data initiatives in Brazil and abroad, acting at the moment as international coordinator of the GoFair Brazilian Office for Open Research Data. She coordinates the Minervas Digitas program to motivate girls to courses and careers in computing area. She's also a mentor at the Columbia Women's Leadership Network program at the Columbia Global Centers in Rio. Let me now welcome Mourine to lead the discussion. Welcome, Mourine.
Thank you very much, Murugi. That was a very beautiful introduction. Hearing somebody else share a particular story about you and your presence there, it has a particular type of feeling and a certain sort of peace in your heart. And I guess that's the reason why we are here today, because storytelling is very key and very important. I believe in storytelling. I am who I am today because of storytelling. Hearing stories from other women, ladies, or anybody else has actually really inspired me. And I'm very excited being part of this session today. So before we get started, for the attendees who have just joined us, thank you very much for taking part in this session. Again, if you have any question, feel free to leave it at the chat section. And from there, we'll be able to continue. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction about my work. I'll just add on to what Murugi just covered. My journey pretty much started immediately. I finished my studies at the Kenya Medical Training Center here in Nairobi, Kenya. And I was waiting for my results. And my mom was like, as you're waiting for your results, how about you join this computer training center, which is right opposite our home, instead of just staying at home and you're pretty much not doing anything. I was like, well, it's fine. I have the time and there's nothing else I'm doing. So I walked into Tunapanda, did my interview. I was actually the last person to do my interview, and for some reason, my application got lost. So the classes started for a week and I hadn't joined. I was like, this opportunity has just gone like that. But luckily enough, they found my application, they called me back, and I was in class. I went through the training for 3 months with Tunapanda Institute. And during those 3 months, they were the most inspiring, the most motivating time of my life, because I was already used to this other side of life where, you just need to study, pass, get a job, start a family, and the cycle repeats itself. But joining Tunapanda, I got to learn about this other side, where you just need to be provided a platform for you to explore, find opportunities, and just go do it. And that's what Tunapanda did for me. So went through the training for 3 months, after which the founders, who are 2 American brothers, they allowed me to stay another 6 months for an apprenticeship program for me to be able to develop in a particular technical skill, which was web development in this case, and also give back by training 2 more cohorts. And my journey just started from there, and those were like 6-7 years ago. It was in 2014. And I've been with Tunapanda since then. Went through the training program. During my journeymanship, which took 3 years, I went up to Turkana to set up another training center, like a sister training center for Tunapanda, known as Learning Lions, where I got the opportunity to train Mourine Apuu, who's actually present on this call. She was in the first class. She was in the first pilot for Tech Dada up in Turkana. She's going to share her stories, experience, and what she did to take on what was already built back in 2016, I believe. And over the years, I've also had the opportunity to work with other nonprofit organizations to try actually and provide an environment for people to learn and problem solve all at the same time, because it's not something that people actually know. They believe this is for particular type of people, and they actually also believe that you must be privileged, quote unquote, for you to know anything about learning, earning, and problem solving all at the same time. If I continue talking, my story is going to be very long. 7 years of experience it can be short, but it can be long in terms of storytelling. But I'd like to take a pause there because we're going to have another longer session to just talk about this, and quickly invite Maria to just talk about a little bit about Rio, and then we can be able to pick it up from there. Professor Maria, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mourine. Thank you, Teresa and Murugi, for this invitation. It's a great opportunity to exchange experiences and also learn from Kenya's stories and experiences. It has been almost 3 years now that I've been involved with the Columbia Global Center in Rio, engaged as a counselor in the Women's Leadership Program, where I met these amazing women with their experiences of so many distinct careers and areas. I believe they can really make a difference in Brazil, and that's all we expect. Today, it's a pleasure to be here with you, even in such complicated and sad times for all of us. But in times of crisis, I guess there is also a chance for us to think and reflect, taking a break from our daily and routine, trying to understand this moment and how we got here. I believe we have certainly come a long way. Science once again is showing us a way out of this, but certainly we still have so much to do, mostly on ending extreme poverty, giving people better healthcare and achieving equality. And that's what we are talking about today. Building a network of motivated women, I guess, is one path for change. And as I have now more than 30 years of career in computer science, and despite all the achievements I have seen during this period, there's still a lot to be done so that we can maybe contribute more decisively to the future of all of us. The Federal University of Rio de Janeiro is the largest university in Brazil, has completed 100 years in 2020. Now when computing is making quite a difference in our daily lives, we have still a long way to go in terms of equality, and that's what we are talking about today. In the early days, around the 70s, many universities in Brazil and computing courses especially had around 60 to 50% of women rate entrance. But throughout the years, surprisingly, what we have seen here is a decrease in that rate, more than what we have seen actually abroad. So nowadays, we have around 10 to 12% of women entering the course. And that's really surprising because the area has such many opportunities now. And so since in 2016, we were #1 in the university in a sad rate, having less women than courses, the traditional courses like mechanics engineering that traditionally have very few women entering. At that time, then we had a group of researchers and students that were touched by this and decided to create a project that was called Minervas Digitais, and trying to understand the causes for this, for such an unbalanced situation. So we joined a national effort that's called, from the Brazilian Computer Society, called Digital Girls, to motivate for the career in computing and information technology, and have been acting in many initiatives, trying to take computer thinking to students, to teachers, and especially in the early stages of learning, because we think that we want to change culture, we have to start very early. So I guess we have to try to disseminate also the variety of tasks that nowadays involves computing. So I guess we have here two of our good examples of students who have followed this computing area, and that's what we are here to hear them, tell their stories, and so that we can exchange what have been going on here and in Kenya and throughout the world in this area. So thank you again for the invitation. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Maria. I must say, there's something that you mentioned in terms of number of women, and I must say it's the same challenge, if I can use the word challenge, that we're actually also experiencing here in Kenya, Nairobi, and to use Tunapanda as an example. I mean, when I was in the first class, We were a class of 13 participants, but I think the class had 70% were male and 30% we were female. So a very few ladies, and the ladies who were present at that time in the first class, the thing that actually really helped us is we had unity.
Yeah.
If I can use an example of Jacqueline Kimani and Jacqueline Leti, because I was so new in the tech space. For them, they had some sort of background because they had done a few short courses on tech and design. For me, it was all new. I'm coming from a medical school and jumping right into a technical space. So it was all, this is not meant for me, but thank God I'm just spending time waiting for my results, then I'm out the door. That was what was running in my mind. But those two girls held my hand every day, encouraged me that just allow yourself, immerse yourself, and don't expect that you come out like this. Let the results come when they will come. That's what they constantly used to tell me. And I'm glad they did tell me that, because the results are way fulfilling than I actually expected. And I'm actually happy that I'm able to inspire other young women to also do this. And the beauty about this, I'm not doing it just like one person. We have, Renice will talk about her whole experience, but Renice is one of the most inspiring, hardworking ladies that I met in Tunapanda, and she's strong. I mean, she goes for it until I'm like, whoa, I should have done this earlier on. But with that said, let me not spoil the story from there. I would like to now introduce a few of the young ladies from Tunapanda Institute and Learning Lions in Turkana to just talk about their experiences. Just share how the experience has been in the tech space, the challenges that they have faced. What did they do to overcome these challenges? And the main also important piece is for them to share what made them go into IT. Because for me, it was to pass time as I wait for my results. That's how I got into IT. It wasn't like I want to be a programmer or I want to be like Renice who writes code of applications or anything. That wasn't my first initial thoughts. But yeah, let's pause there. And I would like us to start with Renice Owino.
Hi everyone. So apparently I'm the lady Renice with Renice Owino. So actually it's pretty funny. I never thought I would be in the tech industry. I wanted to be a teacher. So like make change the world and inspire so many people, because my mom was a teacher and I thought she was a superhero trying to teach every kid and fill them with knowledge. So I wanted to be a teacher. So after completing my high school, my dad one day came home and he was like, there's a friend of mine who has told me about a computer program, and I would really want you to join it. I would really want you to join it and learn something like computer. So at first I thought it was lame because I did computer in high school. I thought I was going to repeat myself. So I joined Nairobi Aviation College. I did my diploma in ICT. And also funny thing, there was a few number of ladies in our course. And even after the course, after we graduated, I was still the only person, I was still the only lady who pursued a career in IT. So after I graduated in college, I went to look for a job. And when I went to look for a job, the lady that was supposed to give me the job refused. She said she's never seen a computer programmer who was a lady. So this really pushed me to the wall, and I felt like I'd wasted 2 years just doing computer science to get judged outside. So I did a volunteer program in Kibera, and then during this volunteer program, a lady told me, since you love computers, why don't you apply at Tunapanda Institute? So I went ahead, gave Tunapanda a try, and I got the chance. I learned for 3 months. I was learning at Tunapanda, and after these 3 months of intensive learning, because it was really intense, you had to give it your all. So after these 3 intensive months, I was taken for the apprenticeship program. And during this apprenticeship program, I continued building myself, my coding skills, my development skills. I was in a space with like-minded people. And for the first time, I felt like there was no judgment for me being a lady and still coding. It was a space where I interacted with people who were coding, people who were willing to help you learn, which was really amazing. So at Tunapanda, there was the Tech Dada program, which was all about empowering young ladies to code. So I saw, since I faced a challenge as a lady in tech, why don't I join this program and try to bring more ladies to this space? So I've been working with Tech Dada, which is powered by Tunapanda. And through Tech Dada, I've been able to inspire so many ladies. One of them is going to give us a talk over here. She's called Abiba Juma. And also, apart from Tech Dada, I saw another way of trying to solve this problem where female feel like tech is a male-dominated area. I run an organization that teaches kids how to code. It's called Code with Kids. So basically, Code with Kids is about both boys and girls. So I thought the main reason why most of the guys think tech belongs to them is because they have been seeing fewer ladies. But if we start teaching kids how to code at a young age, and boys seeing a girl still joining the same classes with them, then we're going to raise up a generation that doesn't feel like tech belongs to male. So more ladies are not going to face the same problem I faced, being judged that you're a girl and you can code. But my journey in tech has been really, really amazing. I've been meeting amazing ladies who are excited by what I do. And just a message I would love to say to anybody watching this and they think, why coding? What gain does it have? So coding or computer programming, it enables different skills. Most of the kids I train and most of the girls I train, I see their problem solving skills have really improved, because it's not only about giving computer instruction, but it's also understanding how are this instruction going to be passed? Which step are you going to take to reach this certain process? If you're creating a project, if you're writing a program, there's a step, there's a discipline you have to follow. So just being in tech, it has given me a certain discipline, and it has given me more reason to push forward, and also more reason to try and make the world a better place through technology. Thank you, Mourine.
Thank you very much, Renice. For those who are on video weekend, there's something we like doing at Tunapanda. After somebody has shared something, we usually like snap as a sign of thank you for sharing. We'd like you to share again. Thank you very much, Renice. So we're going to move on to the next person, but I have to mention something that stood out from the story Renice has shared is she made a choice. Even after going through rough patches, she still pushed forward. That's one of the messages. So moving on to the next participant, we have Leticia from Rio. Over to you.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pause in our battles here. And we are living a very sad moment in Brazil. That falls backwards come up every day. And people who have no choice, instead of exposing themselves to COVID because they need to work, have no support, and won't find care in hospital. So I try to keep a smile on my face, but we are in trouble here. And our president is responsible for a great share of more than 330,000 deaths because his denials of the severity of disease against science, position, and personal examples against the use of men and social distance protocol led us to this tragedy. And besides all, he is the personification of women's exclusion from power positions and curtailment of women's rights and freedom. So this is the context where I'm talking to you now. And when I was revisiting my path as a woman in tech for this talk, I went through a couple of reflections that can be worth sharing. The first one is about the radical imbalance between men and women in IT in Brazil. And well, today I was kindly included in the young category, and I feel this way. But When I started my IT studies, the scenario was very different from today. It was in the 90s, and the internet in Brazil was available only in the university and research centers. We had no cell phones, and only a few people had personal computer in their houses. So by that time, there was an even balance between men and women in IT in the university and corporations. But the positions were not important. It was a mix between mathematics and typing in big mainframe computers. I was reading math at school, so why not to try this new career? But it changed very fast. Bill Gates became the first IT pop star, and many followed. And I was already in, and I could steadily see the transformation. As the paychecks raised, women went away from the career. We know why. The historic inequity and patriarchy called the price, and such a competitive career frightened women. In Brazil, today only 17% of IT positions are held by women, and men earn around 25% more on average. Not to say the absolute majority of men in leading positions. Many obstacles had to be surpassed when I was young, already combative and questioning. Many bosses tried to avoid my promotions just because I was too young or too athletic. But before 25, I was in a manager position and was invited to be the COO of an emerging IT company, where I conducted important innovative projects. Well, they were innovative by that time, like the first e-commerce in Brazil. This success in the early career was due to a bit of luck. I was in the right time, right place, but also a lot of courage to face old, powerful men and tell them what should be told without fear. So this is my first advice to you young girls. Have courage. The IT area rules our present, and will determine our future as a global community. We need women in leading positions, or it will go wrong. You must step up and take the guidance to where technology will lead us. When I say take, I mean it. They, and here I am referring to men as a collective that I know has exceptions, but they won't give up the best sellers in leading position. If you are in position to do so, favor women. If you are not, fight for gender equity the way you can. So one more story. I was there young at the top of a coveted career. So what did I do? I quit my job. And this is my second advice. Always search for your freedom. Freedom to choose what, how, when, with whom you work. Choose where to put your productive efforts and passion. And how is your work is going to change the world if you're not free. So I think for personal choice, stressed, no spare time, question my career choice. I went to Italy, studied cooking, opened a restaurant. This adventure lasted a few years, but I really never gave up on technology. I just didn't want to spend my working hours on projects for oil companies or fashion business. I was missing purpose. So I decided to start my own company, to choose the projects I would do, and also to work on my own time and rhythm. It was 2003, and again, I was lucky. Brazil was in a thriving moment. Lula's leftist government was beginning, and huge investments were made in culture, education, social programs. I decided to focus my company on the cultural area, technology for the cultural area. My portfolio is full of music and art schools, music schools, theaters, artists. The next decade was full of work and joy. The last few years, this dream cracked a little bit. Not my personal dream, but the country's dream, with the ethical, economic, social, and now health crisis that hit us all. Fortunately, I was back in school, got my master's degree, and enrolled in the PhD program. Why fortunately? Because There's no better light in times of darkness than to study. If you want to change the world, study and act and study. And it also led me to a teaching position. Now I can hopefully teach and inspire a new generation of girls coming to face the powerful men. And I say to them, have courage, fight for equity, and search for freedom. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leticia. It's refreshing, or what you just shared, especially when it comes to positions, especially in a job setting. If you look at the percentage or the ratio between men and women who are holding, let me just say, higher positions in the IT space, it's really low. And it's actually the same thing here in Kenya. But there is that, currently there's that shift and wave where more women do want to get into those positions. And I like that once they're usually there, there's this word, Leticia, you've used. You said courage. And I just had to Google, because there's that definition that we all have since we were kids, when you're told you need to have courage. But I've actually never just gone onto the browser and just Googled what does courage mean. And according to Google, courage actually means the ability to do something that frightens one. Strength in the face of pain or grief. It ties to the story Renisa shared. It ties to what Leticia you've shared. And I'm happy that that's one key thing that I've picked. It's a very simple English word, and you're expected to know what it means. But on this particular context, it brings out a very different meaning. IT is a space, is a male-dominated space. We want to be in that space. We need to have the strength. With that said, over to the next panelist, Tabby Ayako, sorry.
Okay, hi everyone. It's so certain that I can't. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I wanted to ask you to turn on your camera, but it's so good.
So I'm sorry, I'm in a dark room, so this is the only silent place I can hide for now. So I don't think if it's going to be that visible. I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, good.
So thank you very much for inviting me, joining this Colombian university webinar. I'm so happy. So my experience is not that much. You know, when I heard Maria saying she's been in the tech space for 30 years, I was like, whoa, I have a lot to do and a long way, because I've been only 2 years in the tech space. And my first year was so confusing because I didn't do any tech thingy while I was in high school. So I just finished my high school and my mom was like, can you just go and learn some packages? The packages were like the words, PowerPoint, those stuff. And I was like, okay, I can do, waiting for my results. And then I heard of Learning Lions. It's a nonprofit organization providing space for talented young women and also boys. So I was tempted to go and sign up for I did my interview, and then I passed, and then I went through the 3 months intensive training, and then I finished. So when I joined the advanced track, I was so confusing because we were only, let me say, 5 girls who were taken with 15 boys, and I was like, okay, we have to do something here. So the challenge I faced, first of all, was to balancing my personal life and the professional life, because at first I had a lot to learn because I took programming, but programming is so huge. I didn't know where to go. I had to go and learn some HTML, some C++, some JavaScript, and I was like, this is a lot. So I want to appreciate my mentor. She's called June Helderly. I don't know if she's around, because she came and approached me and asked me if I could do networking. And I was like, I can try out networking. So I did some course for networking, and then she took me to the crew for system administration at Learning Lions. And at that point, I was still not sure what I want to do, because networking is so fun. Making websites are also fun. And then I came along physical computing, and I was like, it rhymes with networking. And I was like, let me try all of them and see what will come up. So right now I'm still learning, but I'm very happy to hear stories from you guys who have really made it. And it's motivating me to in this tech space. And maybe one of the challenges I've faced in this networking tech space is like, one day I was trying to teach some boy something, and he was like, this is just for girls, you know, those sexist comments that people get. And I was like, no, 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 no. I felt hurt, but I don't remember if I really even answered him anything. I don't remember, but I felt so hurt for him. So thank you so much. Maybe I'll give it back to Mourine. Thank you.
Tabby, that was really, I'm not even sure which words to use, but that was really beautiful. That's the simplest word that I can get, and a word that can all relate to. And I like that you've mentioned, you explicitly highlighted that you have 2 years experience, and you've met somebody today who has over 30 years experience. And
Yeah.
I would like to just specifically focus on that and bring in a point on how we consume information and how we interpret that information. I'd like to believe for you, Tabby, that this is an experience and it's a motivation for you to keep on pressing harder, because there will be challenging times ahead. There still will be those challenging times. It's not going to end today. But the fact that you've had there is somebody, hi Maria, who has over 30 years experience over there, it means you can make it and you will make it. So I can just share.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So moving on to the next person. Hi, Ingrid. Over to you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Ingrid, as you said. I'm a software developer at Google.com, and I'm also a master's student at UFRJ, along with Professor Maria Luiza. And my story started when I was around 14 years old. So I was getting into high school, and there was this school near my house that had this integrated in informatics course, but I wasn't sure if that was for me, because I had this prejudice that programming was only for men. Couldn't I be more wrong? As both of my uncles are developers, one of them sat beside me and he was like, I'm going to teach you something and you will see that that's not as hard as it looks. So he tried to teach me Pascal, which is a programming language. I don't know if you guys know it. And he tried to develop a calculator. At first, I thought I wouldn't like that because of the prejudice that I had in my mind. But then I started to see a little magic there, because he was writing some words that become sentences on a screen, and then that would suddenly become other things, like a proper calculator. And that was so magical to me. Like, you can write some words and these words can become something else. And that's when I felt that I could do that. I was able to write some words and that word would become something else. So I got into this high school and I fell in love for the field. I loved especially database. I had such an amazing professor. He was really great. And later I got into university, and that was shocking for me. Because as Professor Maria Luiza said, in a class with around 50 people, there were only 3 girls, including me. And that was shocking for me because when it comes to high school, this school only had this integrated in informatics course. So we had a reasonable amount of girls. But when it comes to university, that was so shocking for me to see that there were only 3 girls in the class. And actually, this is something that you can realize that does not only happen in my university, it happens in a lot of places, and even at my job. because even though my company is trying to hire more women, I don't see any woman in higher positions. In my field, where I work, I don't have any senior developer or even an expert as a woman. So it's pretty shocking for me. And this is probably the most challenging part for me on working in this field, because I don't have this role model, this person that I aim to become. And that for me is so hard, because I don't get to trust myself. Because if I don't see a person where I want to go, I don't think that I will be able to get there. And it took me actually a long time to trust myself, or to realize that if I am in the position that I am, is because I am worth it. It's because I studied a lot, or because I worked a lot, and because I deserve to be in that place. It took me a long time to realize this, to know that we have a place and we can get there if we want to. And so this is the message I want to give to you. There is no such thing as a perfect person. Everybody makes mistakes, and these mistakes, they do not define us. So you don't have to be afraid to make mistakes. As Leticia said, you have to get courage. You have to be courage. And that for me is the most important thing in my head now, because as I said, it took me a long time to trust myself. So the message I have for you is that there are a lot of fields in computer science. So you can become a software developer. You can become a game developer if you like games. You can become a designer. You can become an UX, like a person that cares about the user experience. You can become a data scientist, or you even can become a tech manager. So there are a lot of fields that you can try. You can see what suits you best, what you like the most, and you just have to study for this. Like, there is no such thing as this is for men. No, you can do whatever you want, and everybody is capable of doing that. So if you want to, you just have to study. And for this, there are a lot of online courses, or even you can do a proper university studying this field. And this field is growing so fast, for real. You have a lot of opportunities in this field, and I promise you that there is a space for everyone. So if you want to, the only thing you have to do is choose what's best for you, or you can try everything to see what you like. Then you have to study and just go for it. As I said, my story started when I was really young, but it took me a long time to know that I have a place. Because when I started, I didn't feel that that was the right thing for me. I felt that I could do that, and that was reality. But I didn't know that I had a special place in this field, or that if I would ever have a place there. But now I think that I have this place, and so do you. So if you want to, you can get this. You just have to work for it. And I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to do whatever you want. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. I like that you said you deserve to be where you are. That is very key. And that is what most of us as human beings, whether a man or a woman, we feel we don't deserve what is happening to us at that moment. And you justify that particular feeling by having conversations with yourself about why you don't deserve it. We're all remarkable. Just tell yourself that. And because we're all remarkable, the next remarkable woman who's coming on board is Mourine Apuu.
Hi, so my name is Mourine Apuu. Maura already said so much about me. I wear so many hats, but I'm from Learning Lions. I still work at Learning Lions as an IT coach, as also an entrepreneur, as a mentor to Tech Dada, young women from Tech Dada. And so my experience in tech space, I would say how I joined it. So I was in, before I joined Learning Lions, I was in data university. I was taking psychology and communication. Communication was my major and psychology was a minor, and also took music, I remember. But after 3 years, I got pregnant. And unfortunately, at this when you get pregnant, there's this, you don't really stay in that school. It has its own like rules and ways of doing things. So I had to drop out of school, and it was also plus other personal things that made me drop out of school. So I came back home, and home is Turkana. If you Google Turkana, there's so much amazing, so many things you learn about Turkana. First, it's known for poverty level, it's known for infrastructure, it's known for the way the media puts it out there. It's like more of bad news than good news. And coming from here, growing from here, I know the good stuff that's here. I know good people. I know of so many things that people don't know out there, maybe out there in the world, or what people put out there sometimes is not what matches what's there. So after I came back home with my son. So I came back to my son. I came back home and I didn't have anything to do. I couldn't go back to school. I was just hopeless. Let me say hopeless or helpless, I don't know. I was just hanging out with my friends most of the time. They'll come and hang out with me. And most of them were in Learning Lions. But Learning Lions that time was in another arid place. I couldn't go there with my kids. So I could just hear them telling stories. I went into trying other things, but it didn't work. So I stayed home. And then in 2016, early 2016, Learning Lions came to Borges, now where the town that I was in. So I started visiting my friends there. I could see them working on computers. Computer was not my thing. I've never liked it. Even in data, where I was to use it, maybe I'd use it for work and that's it. I wouldn't use it for it. So I joined Learning Lions. It was tough because I had a child at home and I had to board for 3 months. And Murugi was the head coach back then. So I made a decision. It's either I stay home and beg to take care of my child and really struggle, or I could just go and try something that I've never tried and see where it takes me. So I joined, and fortunately, let me say, if it were not for me seeing other people like Mola who was there, and I was like, oh, she actually has this courage of talking, and she was actually, most of the time people would say that we were like, because we like expressing ourselves and talking and all that stuff. And I really learned a lot from her. And I also learned a lot from the other men that were there, and they kept on encouraging. There's so many times I wanted to give up. I wanted just to go home and be a mom and just do some other stuff. But there's that thing, there's that thing inside me that tells me every day that I can do better, that I'm not just been dropped here just to live and die. There's just that part of me that tells me there's something much more than who I was back then. So I stayed for myself, I stayed for my child, and I hoped for the best. So I finished there. Unfortunately, I rejoined again in the advanced track, and I became a coach, but now I was an assistant, so I could learn from Mourine and the rest as I went to class, being the assistant in all these classes, communication classes, web design. It started becoming interesting. What really changed my mind about tech? I used to think it was all about coding and hard stuff as well, and there was no fun about it. But when I saw the way there was the design aspect in, and I think naturally I love design. I love creating stuff. I love creating things that are functioning and that solve problems. And in this case, I learned it in my third month. In the business, on the third month, we concentrated on business. So we came up with ideas, and these ideas would make them look like we really actualize them and come up with prototypes. So recently, I founded my own company. It's called Apuuzawadi. Apuuzawadi, actually, when you closely look at it, even my team, even the guys who are in my team, like 2K and the rest, can testify that most of the ideas about Apuuzawadi came from the third month, because we created these websites that were coming to solve problems in this community. I love the third month in basic training, because this is where really all these things you've learned in these 3 months, you actually actualize it. And my purpose, or the thing that sparkled my interest in tech, is that it could solve problems. I mean, we have so many problems in Kenya, but in my home, there's a problem that makes me even not sleep. The poverty in this place, like the mindset. You know, from the way I was growing up, you see the companies, the organization used to give us, they gave us almost everything. If it's food, you go to the USA, they'll give you food. If it's water, you go to the parish priest, they'll give you water. And if the water is done, that's it. We'll go and start finding other ways to get water. If the food wasn't there and the food is over in the USA or in the UNHCR or on this other organization, that's it. We'll die of hunger, and animals will die. So I've lived in an environment where it made me want to be better. It made me want to solve problems. And the poverty, the poverty aspect of where I come from, really, it's really deep somewhere in my soul, where I thought, if technology can solve problems in other places of waste, of recycling, of education, of desert, like desert places can be turned into awesome places like Israel. And then by the grace of God, 2019, I traveled because of just technology. I got to travel to a place I would never have imagined in my life to go. And when I was there in Munich, there's someone who asked me if I would want to come to Munich and do what I was planning to do in Turkana. And I said no, and I told him the reasons why is technology has made it possible for me to work from home. It has made it possible for me to learn and earn and innovate from my own home. And I think it would be so unfair for me to get all this education, all this empowerment, and come to a place like this where it's already empowered, and live home where I'm supposed to be a mentor. I'm supposed to be an example. And another thing that makes me more motivated in terms of using technology to solve poverty problems, to solve so many problems that are going on in my home, is young women, especially in my culture, when you have a child, or when you wear all these hats, most people in our community are women taking care of everything. We are the backbone of everything. Talk of breadwinning, talk of so many things. It's the women who are doing it. And you know, sometimes the women are so creative in my home. They make all these things, beautiful things, but they don't know how to put them out there. And there are these other young women, because you're married as a young person, you're not supposed to go and pursue your education, you're discouraged, things like that. It's very hard to change that kind of mindset. It's very hard to change those norms and those beliefs. But I've promised, I've made a choice to live like this. I've made a choice to choose education, to go to school when I'm a mother. I made a choice to do the things that people think women can't do here. Because when I talk about them, nobody's going to listen. So when you live it practically and they see you living it, and they see that there is something positive and good that is coming from it, they get to be encouraged. They learn by seeing. People learn by seeing most of the time. You know, you can go and make a conference and do webinars and do all this stuff, but they don't understand. I have to start from home. To branch out there, I really have to start. I have to start from my village. I have to start from the women in my home, the women in my family, to live that every day, to take the courage to pursue education, especially in the IT, in places where people usually think it's a man's space, because it's hard, because you're a mother, because you're this, you can't do this, you can't start a business, you can't start an organization, you don't have that time. You have to show them that you can create time. You have to be persistent. You have to get mentors. You have to go to an environment that encourages that. And Learning Lions has been an environment that has encouraged me to be that type of woman I want to be, and to be the type of woman I want other people to see in my community. So what I would like to tell young people, or young people who are watching, is that really, you know, technology is wide. There's the lady that spoke before me has mentioned so many fields in tech, and mine is about design. Mine is about connecting with people, and it has helped me do that, connecting with people. So when this is the field you want to pursue, or this is where you want to be, like Mourine, as you wait for something else, maybe you should do some soul searching and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Because mine is helping another woman who's like me, who's in this environment, who is in other environments, to know that this is possible. If it's possible for me, it's possible for them. I want to be their mentor by living it. Okay, so do soul searching, be optimistic, be ready to learn, find a mentor, do upgrade your skills every time. I mean, there is no other way. You just do it. There is something that Mora used to tell us in class. I don't know if I remember that, but this is what it meant. Like, there's no other way around it. Just do it. You know, it will never, like, nothing will happen unless you do. I remember now. Nothing will happen unless you do. And I remember that, and that has really been driving me. Like, if I sit down and I say, people will come to solve poverty in my home, people will come to change women's perspective in my area, some white person or some educated village man will come to do something, it will never happen. And I've lived it and I've seen it. It will never happen unless you do it yourself. When you do it, you start making a chain of other people wanting to do what you do. So I'm really encouraged. And recently, just to tell you how even living it has changed my life in a weird way. Like last 2 Sundays ago, I was in church, and I don't know. I'm just seated doing the choir and doing all this stuff, and I haven't been in church for 2 Sundays. And they start calling. They've chosen this new group in the church where they coordinate stuff and things. And then I'm just seated, and then they mention my name. They say, Mourine, Apuu, tech person. I was like, oh, me? And then they're like, yeah, you. And then so I went in front. Oh, we are blessed. We are prayed for. After I went back, I went and asked the chairperson, why did you decide to choose me as the tech person? And then they reminded me that there was a funeral in the church. And the guy who was there trying to fix all the PowerPoint presentation and everything couldn't do it. And they called me to do it. Back then, I was in the second cohort. I was teaching the second cohort. And I fixed everything, and everything worked. Miraculously, it worked. I don't even remember how it happened. So when they saw me in church for a few Sundays, they were like, that girl is in that tech company. She must be the best person for this job. And that's how I got the job in the church. Now I'm seen as a tech person, and everybody was like, oh my God, oh, she's a girl, oh, she's awesome. And you know, after church, you get to meet many people, and you don't know the joy that comes when young little girls come to you and tell you, oh, you're in that school? Like, they're so inspired. And this is my story. And this is the story I want to be told about me, that I lived this. I tried this. I took the courage to do this. And this is what happened. And it's changing other girls, and it's inspiring other women to do the same. So thank you so much, Maura. Back to you.
Wow. I'm not even sure where to start from. I'm just going to take a breath and internalize all that and just leave you with one word that has really stood out from Maurine Apuu's story: hope. That word, small but very big. On to the last panelist, Habiba Juma.
Hello. Hi. I hope you can all hear me. My name is Habiba Juma. I'm from Nairobi, Kibra, and I'm glad to be here, and I feel most privileged to be part of this amazing team of amazing women, and I'm humble and grateful too. I have a long story, but I'll try to keep it short as possible. I'm gonna give a brief story of my life and why I chose tech. When I was in primary, I used to fancy tech movies, and from tech movies is where I got my inspiration that I wanted to be a hacker. And ever since that time till now, I still want to be a hacker. I know I'm not yet there, but I'll be there in maybe 5 or 7 years to come, because I believe I can do it. When I was in primary, my sister, my mother bought a laptop for my sister. Then my sister had to put her own password so that I cannot access her laptop. I used to feel jealous and bad about it, because I want to go and see how the machine is working, and she's not giving me the chance to do that. I used to feel bad. So I said, when I get a chance to go to high school, I'll only focus on computer. And when I went to high school, the first thing I went and asked if they offer computer classes, and I was told yes. I was so happy. My eagerness and willingness to learn more, I got a chance to be also the leader in the school, computer lab prefect, which gave me another opportunity to explore my skills and also get a chance to learn more, use network than other students. And lastly, when I was, something happened at home, and I was forced to go back to day school. When I went to day school, I was stressed up a little bit because I wasn't sure which day school I'm going to, and if at all I'm going to a day school, I wasn't sure if they're also offering a computer class. When I Googled, I realized they also offer computer class. I was happy. I joined the school and also got a chance to be a leader once again. It was a privilege for me, and I was happy for that. So from my day school, where I finished my high school, is where I learned about Tech Dada. So in the school, first, before I joined, there was no computer classes, but luckily when I joined it, they started offering computer classes. And from the computer classes, they had activities. In most high school, they have activities, especially on Fridays at 4. So at 4, there are different activities, but mine, I chose computer because I love everything about computer. When I heard that there's a team coming to our school to teach about computer and also empower girls, I saw like this is a nice spot for me to penetrate and hear what they're telling us. So they came the first day. We discussed, we introduced each other, we shared our stories, our interests. Then I saw like, this is where I want to belong, and this is where I want to achieve everything. I was focused on Tech Dada, and I was eager, like every Friday, I can't miss school because there's Tech Dada team coming and I'm going to learn good things, and they were so empowering. So when I finished high school, it was end for me. I didn't know where I'll find them again, and I was kind of stressed up because I feel like everything was shattered. But luckily, due to the way I used to push myself, I was able to be close with some of the team members from Tech Dada, Josephine Miliza, Mourine Mora, Renis Owino, and Mwaluga Bura. So the 4 people from Tech Dada were the one who introduced me to Tunapanda. And when I heard of this place, I said, no, I've just finished my high school, and I can't waste this time staying at home. I have to make use of this time. So before even the results were out, I was already in Tunapanda doing my own personal learning. So I started going to Tunapanda doing HTML, CSS, JavaScript alone. And when I'm stuck somewhere, Mwaluga was my best friend. We grew together, so I was free enough to approach Mwaluga, and Mwaluga was also willing to help me anywhere I was stuck. And when I heard that they were taking another cohort, I saw this was the nice chance for me. I applied, and I joined Tunapanda. So when I joined Tunapanda, I went through the 3-month training. I even forgot about my result, and I was just focused on that because this is what I want and this is where I want to be. And from this, I know I'll get to a point where when I sit back and look at my past, I'm proud of it. So I stuck with Tunapanda. I went through the training. I finished the 3 months training. I went to intermediate track training, apprenticeship, and now I'm doing journeyman. Still with Tunapanda, and I feel like I'm in the right place, and I feel like Tunapanda opened my mind, and Tunapanda gave me what no one can do that, and I feel most privileged for that, because from Tunapanda now I'm proud, and I'm also helping other students. I'm also a trainer there. I'm training them on web design. So when I finished my apprenticeship class, I was able to join Moringa. I went and did web developing. And after finishing it, I came to Tunapanda and give back to the community, training the new students from who are joining the trainings. And after that, while training and also learning a lot from there, because there's mentors there who are willing to help, and also friends who became family. They're always there for you. Like, they made the place like a home for me, where anytime like I miss coming to that place, I'm just feeling like I'm not okay, like there's something missing. So I feel like I'm in the right place. And from everything that I got from Tunapanda, I was able to also learn different skills, business, design, and also personal branding, development, everything that you feel like it can help you go out there and express yourself and get whatever you want to. So from all this, I was able to come up with my own initiative. So my own initiative supports young girls who are in high school and primary. I help them by mentoring them to stick in school and also focus on their studies. And also, I also mentor young mothers who dropped out of school due to early pregnancy. I support them by giving them small shopping and also educating them and mentoring them and also giving them business skills. It's a small initiative that is starting, and I'm just grateful because with all this that's happening in my life, it's all because of Tunapanda. And one thing or one message I'll wish to pass to Jay and Mick is that thank you for this opportunity. If it was not for you spotting Kibra as your main area to start doing this, I could have not be where I am today. And whatever I'm doing right now, maybe I wouldn't have an idea of doing it or starting it if not because of what I was getting from there. And I'm grateful for everything, and I'm happy, very, very happy to be part of Tunapanda, and I'm the leading pioneer. I'm proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Habiba. I'm not sure where to start from. At times when you hear these stories, I mean, it's different when you're hearing it from a platform like this and time has been dedicated for this specific thing. And just to wrap up this whole session, I had written down keywords that I noticed that kept on repeating itself from most of the speakers that I've just spoken: hope, trust, courage, space, fun, mindset, learn, and innovate. And to crown it all, Mourine Apuu said something to do with the power of why. It takes time to know why you're doing what you're doing, but once you know, you'll have the courage to stick to that, and you will be firm. You'd have made a choice to push forward no matter what. And so before we wrap up, I'd just like to thank everybody for putting this together, especially the CGC group. And I'm very honored and privileged to have been part of this team, being part of a group of young women starting out their careers and hearing stories from women who have already been in this space for years and are still in this space and they're still rooting for more people to join. It has been a very diversifying session because we've had people from Turkana, Nairobi, Rio. That diversification is just very commendable. And usually when I wrap up my sessions, Mourine Apuu has already said one of my favorite quotes, but it's a quote that I live to. I can't function without it. It's everything. It is who I am. It is why I do what I do every day. And the quote goes, it's by Maya Angelou. My mission in life is not to merely survive, but to thrive. And to do so with some compassion, some passion, some humor, and some style. And I get to do this with the lovely women and men that I work with, the organizations that I've been privileged to work with, and the hearts that I've touched out there. One is enough, because that one heart will do the same for the other person. Let's keep on sharing stories. Let's keep on pushing for this. And let's have an inclusive community of men supporting men, women supporting women, women supporting men, and men supporting women. If we do that, we're going to make this world a better place. And who knows, we go to another planet and do the same. Thank you very much. And I'd like to hand over the session back to Teresa. And bless. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh yeah, the thing.
Yes.
I was even carried away.
This was so cool, and so it was a breath of fresh air, and just like an exciting and relaxing moment to hear inspiring stories. I think we're all set on the work mode and, you know, surviving mode, getting things done, looking at Zoom all day long, checking lists. And this was just like such a breath of fresh air. It was so inspiring, wonderful stories, diversifying stories. Like you said, Mourine, I think you wrapped everything so well. And I also, just like you, I also wrote down words that that jumped for me during all of the panel discussions. And I think courage is the one that mostly stood out for me. And I think we need courage to move forward in this world and make this a better place for our kids, for ourselves. And, you know, it has to be, otherwise what's the point, right? So it was very inspiring. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your stories very much. And I hope, like you said, Mourine, as well, if we touch with this conversation, if this conversation can inspire or reach one girl, whether she's in Kenya, whether she's in Brazil, whether she's in New York and Turkana, wherever, I think this will be, we'll have done our work well. So hopefully we'll get to hear from her in the future and say, look, I participated in this webinar with you ladies, and, you know, she'll be this amazing, inspiring tech mogul who will then maybe hire us all to work with her, who knows? So let's hope we impact a girl's life with this conversation, and I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much on behalf of the Columbia Global Centers. This has been a pleasure and very inspiring. Have a wonderful day and rest of the week, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much as well.
Thank you.